It's 5 p.m. Do you know where your grandmother is?
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society.
You're in violation of secure communication procedures, Commodore.
So we just went ahead and fixed the glitch.
There is no America. There is no democracy.
Our fifth objective, a new world order.
There are no nations. There are no peoples. There are no Russians. There are no Arabs. There are no third worlds. There is no
Vast
West.
right-wing conspiracy.
What do you call it when the assassins accuse the assassin?
A new world order.
Thank you for plugging in to the Stones Unturned podcast.
Well, just a second there, Professor. We fixed the glitch.
I'm your host, Professor Thomas Henry Horan.
He reads everything.
Hello there, you lucky devils. I'm exhausted and I have a chicken in the oven. So you'll probably get a better episode tomorrow. I'm going to drop you some links to some very good free movies and whatnot on YouTube right now. I just remembered listening to the theme. It just occurred to me, you know nothing about JFK. We haven't even gotten around to JFK. We haven't gotten around to the Clintons. You know nothing about the Clintons. Actually, you know a lot about the Clintons. Do your homework on the Clintons. Be ready. Hold yourselves in readiness for the Clintons. I'm exhausted. No particular reason. What do you want to do first? I didn't even look at the quiz, the poll results yesterday. I'll do a poll right now. No, not for you guys. Members only. I'm going to beat this Savannah Guthrie story to death with a shovel because I think it is linked to the phony UFO disappearances and deaths. They're all like this. Have you paid any attention? I know there's a lot going on right now. You've got to stop paying attention to the man behind 1600. Stop. Just ignore the clay pigeon of Pennsylvania Avenue. He's a distraction. He's Zaphod Beeblebrox with one head. Man's never had a drink in his life. I'm just saying. Whereas Kash Patel does all this drinking for you. But I think I can prove now, not that, because Savannah's dad's been dead for almost 40 years. So it's as much about her brother and possibly about her. In the meantime, speaking of videos, I haven't had a chance to see this. Let me see. Here. Well, let's go to this right here. Let's go to I'm not going to rehash tonight, even though some of you may be new viewers. All the times on this are going to be Arizona times, okay? Mountain time. This phony kidnapping. On February 3rd, okay, let me hash this. On February 1st, 6:45 p.m., Pima County Sheriff posted on their Facebook page, have you seen this old bag? Okay, this was a silver fox alert, whatever you call them, silver something alert. 84 years old, female, 5'5", 150 pounds, Brown hair, blue eyes, last seen evening of January 31st. So it's been 24 hours. It's been over 24 hours since she was last seen at her residence near East Skyline Drive and North Campbell Avenue. They mean that literally. She was dropped off somewhere near East Skyline Drive and North Campbell Avenue, according to her son-in-law. Unknown what clothing she may be wearing. Why? What's missing from the home? Your elderly mother lives 5 minutes away. You have no idea what her wardrobe is or what... Do you remember what she was wearing when you dropped her off? Maybe that's what she was wearing when she disappeared. There might be a coincidence there. Unknown what clothing she may be wearing. Missing person, vulnerable adult. So the next day, immediately, anti-social media erupts. Oh my God, what a horrible daughter Savannah is. What a horrible family she has. They leave the old lady alone. And to take everything we hear directly on camera from Savannah and her brother, that's about the size of it. Because the excuses we get for not knowing what happened to her come down to, I mean, they didn't even know. It's like the USS Indianapolis. They didn't even list her overdue for a week. They didn't even call her Sunday morning. No routine Sunday morning call, and why not? Was it routine or not? See, this touches on the Mary Morris murders in Houston. You have the control freak husband, like Gerald McCann. You have the control freak husband who every morning, his wife, he's what he tells the cops, every morning his wife turns left out of the driveway, goes straight to work. At 10 a.m., he calls her at work and calls her. The people at the bank know this. She doesn't show up for work. 10 o'clock comes around, he doesn't call either. So around 11 o'clock, they called him. They called the home. He says, oh no, she left for work as usual. I haven't seen her. No explanation for why he didn't try to call her. What he tells the cops is when she left that morning, he noticed she went the wrong way. Did he call her cell? Did Control Freak call her cell phone? Did Mr. Control Freak call his wife's cell phone to ask her what the hell she was doing going the wrong way? No, he did not. Did he make his usual call to her workplace at 10 o'clock sharp that morning? No, he did not. So the question is this: were you not in the habit of calling your 84-year-old mother on a pacemaker, blood thinners, all kinds of medication? Lives alone. You know she doesn't have an active Nest Aware subscription, and she has no nanny cams in the house. It's a big house. You know her life hangs by a thread. You don't call her in the morning, hey Ma, or wait for her to call you. Call me in the morning. Make sure you're still alive. Call her. Morning, Ma. Sleep okay? Did you eat any breakfast? Did you take your medication? You got a ride to church? She used to go to church. Here's a habit. Her habit was to go to her friend's house. A bunch of them gathered at a friend's house and they watched TV church. And supposedly it was the same church that Savannah goes to in New York City. Church is going to come into this in a way. Have you heard of Catholics for Latin America? Have you heard of Jonestown? We're going to find out what church has to do with this, but not tonight. The look is not good. The look is not good. The pollen is not good, and I'm trying to... Is that chicken in the oven, or is that something else? That's chicken. Why does it smell like beef stew? Ow. Sorry. Okay. So, this look is not good, and social media is all over this like a rash. You know, she's the princess of NBC Universal. They were building a sitcom around her and Jimmy Fallon until this happened. Well, come on, Alpine. They didn't. So she doesn't show up for church. And now read the media coverage. It doesn't help. So on the morning of February 2nd, Pima County Sheriff puts out a bulletin. We believe she was taken against her will. This is 9:17 a.m. Local TV station KOLD receives what they purport to be a ransom note. On February 3rd, I have not filled in all the blanks yet. On February 3rd, we get this fluff piece. Who is Savannah Guthrie's husband? All about corporate consultant Michael Feldman. Corporate consultant? Paula Jones? Okay, you people let me down. Or I let you down. We're going to settle this hash right now. Who was the blonde bimbo eruption before Paula Jones? Because Paula Jones was the one who looked kind of Italian, right? She looked like she was from New Jersey, right? Jennifer Flowers. If Jennifer Flowers is a corporation, I'll consult with it. If Paula Jones is a corporation, I'll consult with it. If Monica Ludinsky is a corporation, I will consult with it. If accusing George Bush of stealing the 2000 election is a corporation, I'll consult with it. If accusing Donald Trump of trying to steal the 2020 election, have you seen the results of the 2020 election? It wasn't Trump who was trying to steal the election. If anybody was trying to steal the election, my point is this. If those are corporations, I'll consult with them. Okay? Tomorrow, here's the deal. Subscriptions on things are running out this weekend, so it may take me a couple days to really fill in the blanks on Savannah's dad. In the meantime, I will catch up on her husband, Michael Feldman. So after this, as Sir Humphrey Appleby would say, to misplace one member of the family may be regarded as a misfortune. To replace two in 1 week may be regarded as carelessness. The coverage is not good. The looks are not good. February the 3rd, 9:45 a.m. Tucson time. People magazine. Who is Savannah Guthrie's husband? All about corporate consultant Michael Feldman. Not who is Nancy Guthrie, Savannah Guthrie's missing mother. None of that. There's none of that. This is People magazine. The consulting that her husband does is crisis management. Number one, getting control of the narrative in the mainstream media. You don't care if people believe it or not. You get the mainstream media to commit to it, and they won't admit that they were wrong later. You pull every string you've got to get a couple of people to tell a lie for you because they can never admit that they told a lie for you. This is what he does. This is what he does. And I guess she was his 40th birthday present. We'll get to that story later. What I'm saying is the blowback is intense on social media, even if her hardcore fans. Because here's the thing. They're waiting for her to recover from vocal cord surgery, which she just came back from a couple of days before this happened. The week before this weekend, right? But she was doing Sunday Today. She got called away. She had to fly back to Arizona. So she did. They were waiting to announce this game show with her, and in a compound object, you cut off the and what would you use? Which pronoun would you use? According to the stars and me, according to me, okay, you would not say according to the stars and I. They were withholding announcing this game show until they saw that she was fully recovered from vocal cord surgery. But then her mom disappeared, so she took 2 more months off. And then on May the 11th, they announced it, the game show. This just seemed a little cold when this article came out. You've seen the crocodile tears, right? He's not managing the crisis too well? Well, not good enough for the Stones Unturned podcast and the Lucky Devils and the Buckaroos and the Junior Buckaroos and the Magnificent Beatards. The Boosters. I need to play that theme. A whole bunch of you have joined and rejoined. Thank you very much. More is coming. I can't promise 7 episodes a week. I'm shooting for 5 because if you can, but I'll put up a poll to see what you guys want to talk about next. I'm almost done with these people, but give me a couple of days because this is fitting right in with these phony disappearances of these UFO scientists. It's fitting right in. And this has a lot to do with her brother and her dad, more than anybody else. But I'm telling you, this is just a family. This was the old buzzard kicked off due to natural causes. And the son-in-law panicked and didn't handle it right. And then he really panicked. He didn't panic, but he's like, what the fuck do I do now? They're going to blame me for this. That's all that happened. But this was a bad look. This was a very bad look. And then the next morning at 11:05 Tucson time, News Nation goes out there with their cameras and they find the blood on the porch that I have looked at relentlessly. He's managing the crisis very well because the mainstream media are sticking to the story that she was kidnapped, even though they all know it's bullshit. And she got the game show. He did his job. He did his job. What was it? Up jumped the devil. Up jumped the devil. On February 3rd at 12:12 p.m. Pacific time, so 1:12 p.m. I skipped through too many of these. Okay, they find the blood. Then, at 1:12 p.m. Tucson time, this is 2 hours later, TMZ announces they got a ransom email. And Nancy says her brother says it's legit. Nancy says it's legit because it mentioned the Apple Watch. Her brother says, in the Air Force intelligence, her brother says, yes, it's legit because of all this Bitcoin jazz going on in it. Oh, yeah, we got to come back to that. It will make sense. It will make perfect sense, Alpine. It will make perfect sense. Remember, they made Manson family-style videos of themselves doing crazy things. A lot of the teachers thought they were just filming another one of their movies. Remember? Remember, everything you know about those guys was movies they made about themselves in character. Remember that, and we'll come back to that. Remember the name Ballard, or Ballard as you may prefer, if you are some illiterate English. Quebecois. Remember the word Quebecois. Remember the name Marguerite Oswald. We still haven't talked about JFK. You know nothing about JFK. I know you think you know about all the crazy conspiracy theories about JFK, but there's one I'm going to show you that is going to blow your wigs off. You've never heard of it. If you ever heard of it, you forgot all about it. I'm not saying it's true. What I'm saying is you know nothing about the great JFK hoax. JFK is not the only. Remember, with RFK, we think we have pretty solid evidence of a second gunman. Remember, there is some actual available forensic evidence to suggest a second shooter, and they sure made it look like it was Caesar Thane. They sure made it look like it was him. You know how you get a witness to keep his mouth shut? You lock him up. You treat him like a suspect. He'll keep his fucking mouth shut. He will keep his mouth shut. It's too late to give Nancy this advice, but I'll give it to her anyway. You're going to see when all the blame is going at Nancy and her family, what's going to happen next is she's going to come out swinging at the cops handling this case. She's going to throw them straight under the flaming bus. Maybe they deserve it. Maybe they don't. But let me give you some advice, counselor. I've never been a cop. I wouldn't be a cop. But if I were a cop and I saw what you did to the cops, whatever, trying to do their best or whatever in this case, when I saw what you did to them publicly, and then you turn around looking for another cop to help you, guess what, honey? And if I feel that way, I'll bet most cops feel that way. When you burn down the police station, you can't ask for help or pity or sympathy. Who is going to jump up and remember when they shot their mouths off and maybe going to hire PIs? They know the best PIs in the world, and I'm not exaggerating. They hired the best PIs in the world all the time. They know them. Those numbers, they have like thought dial. Where are they? What's the matter? Are you afraid that the PIs are going to get the right idea? And threw the FBI under the bus at the same time. Well, who the fuck is going to get off their asses to help you now? It's almost like you don't want them to. I brought this up last night. She's acting like she's the kidnapper's defense attorney. She's doing everything his defense attorney would do. And her husband. They would do if they were the kidnapper's attorneys. Well, let me get right along to the videos I'm going to show. Let's see. Signs of forced entry was announced on the evening of February 3rd. A person familiar with the investigation. Well, Savannah was familiar with it. And she knows how to get articles published. Speaking of Québécois, Jacques Béliaud, Sejal Govindarel, and Mike Balsamo. Here's what's really going on. Keep in mind, I showed you last night, the physical evidence tends to show that she died of exactly what she was expected to die of any day. What happened that day could have happened any day. It was waiting to happen. That's probably how she was going to die. So they may have had a plan in place. What to do if she did. These are people who teach their clients how to take lemons that they've shit out their own assholes and turn them into lemonade and sell it to the public. Literally. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating in the slightest. And this narrative has been controlled. You send a ransom note to TMZ, it doesn't matter if it's real or not. We've started to get control of the narrative now. The Pima County Sheriff and the Tucson FBI Chief held a news conference Tuesday the 3rd and urged the public to offer tips. Why the hell would they? Go ahead, offer tips. Does anybody have any idea what happened? Well, I got a tip for you. I'll show you what happened. Send him a link to last night's video. Here's what happened. They don't even have to watch the members only. Unless they want to pay the $10. I showed you who did it on the members only. Spoiler alert. Urged the public to offer tips. Tips about what? Well, we saw a suspicious vehicle full of masked and armed men, but they said she wandered off, so we figured there was no connection. Now I can't remember the license plate number. Offer tips. Offer what tips? I'm not saying there isn't room for complaint. What I'm saying is, I've been hired as a PI by families who wanted to control the narrative. Well, that's really why they hire PIs. Not always. That's not fair. But they usually want to control the narrative. And this is what they do. because it's not about the victim, it's about them. It's, you don't know how many times it's about the parent's ego. Controlling the narrative is about the parent's ego. And I don't blame them, but how can I? I got an ego. I got an ego in the oven now. But there's another excuse, which is just like John Bonet. Every cop in this case knows exactly what happened and exactly who did it, and they're not allowed to say, because that's against the law. And I only bring that up because the sheriff is a Democrat. And senior senator from Arizona, Mark Kelly, best friends with Savannah Guthrie since high school, would have the say in who the Democratic nominee for sheriff would be. Not to mention Savannah's husband. But we're going to, when we come back to the money, when I get that coin, and thank you again, Medley. Mwah. When I get the coin, I will show you what I mean. It's all about the money. And Rome, for example, I'm trying to summarize this. The thing is, how do I summarize this? Hi, Gary. When forget the fact that this is not a kidnapping. Forget all that. The excuse is when they know the answer and they're not allowed to say it. That's another valid excuse for every single thing that the sheriff has done. Every single thing the sheriff has done has been, he's been acting on their instructions because he knows who they are, and he knows he better do as he's told, and they have set him up to be thrown straight under the bus. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? I lied for them? He exonerated the brother-in-law. This garbage sheriff that could not have gotten about the Romans. I know what you've been asking yourself since grammar school when you took Latin. You're asking yourself, why did the Romans pick Herod? Because he was weak. Why did the Romans pick Vercingetorix? Because he was weak. The mafia do this. You don't want to support a strong candidate. They don't need you. Oh. Watch what happens to those deranged scumbags today. You want to pick somebody who's weak. That's why they picked Nanos. Somebody they had in their pocket. So that when something like this happened, and it was going to happen, they could control the narrative. And the reason they pissed off the cops is they don't want the cops working on this case anymore because they don't need to because they know what happened. I showed it to you last night. And I don't have ESP. I don't have extra sensitive. And they wonder why no one will help them. But they're doing it on purpose. They're spraying the cops with bear spray. And remember, this worthless, perjurious, lying, deceitful, dishonest, untrustworthy, incompetent sheriff's investigation he's the one who exonerated the brother-in-law. Okay? You smoke that any way you want. Because I want to square those two things. He's worthless. He exonerated my brother-in-law. Cash Patel is worthless. He exonerated my brother-in-law. And he came up with the video. So nobody's buying any of this shit. TMZ, you don't send the ransom note to TMZ. You don't want the public to know. You've seen the movie Ruthless People, right? Why are they acting exactly like Danny DeVito? Why are they doing that? Because they needed to change the narrative, because her career, she wasn't going to get that game show. The blowback was starting to get hotter and hotter. I mean, there were people who were just like not giving a shit. And when you pull a stunt like this, you run this. Now, this piece was in the work for months. I understand that. But it's not a good look. The signs of forced entry. Okay, all one article. The Pima County Sheriff and the Tucson FBI Chief held a news conference Tuesday and urged the public to offer tips. I got a tip for you. I got your tip right here. But they revealed few new details about the investigation. Hey, I got your tip right here. About the investigation. The sheriff said they don't have credible information. That was not a clue either. Indicating Guthrie, that was just a really cheap, shoddy joke at the expense of an ethnic minority who make their crosses funny. They don't have credible information indicating Guthrie's disappearance was targeted. The person who spoke to the Associated Press said investigators found specific evidence in the home showing there was a nighttime kidnapping. Why? What made it nighttime? What do you mean nighttime? Was there a candle burning? Several of Guthrie's personal items, including her cell phone, wallet, and car, were still there after she disappeared. Did I lose my own place? Okay. No credible information indicating Guthrie's disappearance was targeted. The motive remains a mystery. Investigators do not believe at this point that the abduction was part of a robbery, home invasion, or kidnapping for ransom plot, the person said. Okay? They don't have credible information indicating Guthrie's disappearance was targeted. This was after TMZ got their ransom note. This is the same article. Investigators do not believe at this point that the abduction was part of a robbery, home invasion, or kidnapping for ransom plot. TMZ reported Tuesday, so they updated the article, but they forgot to change it, which is good news for us. It's like the Bible. We know it's absolutely true because they didn't fix anything. They didn't paper over any mistakes. That's what's so beautiful about it. They copied it faithfully. Well, they did the best they could. That's how we know what the sources are. That's how we know it's true. It's all true because it's all about the money. And I don't mean to, that's not a criticism. We'll come back to that later. TMZ reported Tuesday that it received a purported ransom note demanding payment in cryptocurrency for Guthrie's release. Separately, a journalist with Tucson television station KOLD said in an X post, did they name it K-Old? Because it's all old people. Said in an X post, they used to be dirty, that the station received what appears to be a ransom note. We have dueling ransom notes? Bear in mind, no ransom note came in until after this disappearance was publicized. That is exactly how you don't kidnap somebody. That's so far away from how you kidnap somebody. If you want to get the ransom. February 4th, Savannah posts on her social media, not on the mainstream media, because they don't believe a word of this horse shit either. Not even NBC believes a word of this horse shit. She posts on her fake book, we're willing to pay the ransom, but we demand proof of life. And as you know, these days, audio and video can be faked. She brought it up in the appeal to the kidnapper. She brought it up. We want proof of life, but as we all know, videos are easy to fake. Yeah, they are, now that you bring it up. Why is she acting like the defense attorney for Dingleberry Doorbell? Why is she acting like his defense attorney? Why is she acting like Dingleberry's defense attorney? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I got your dingleberry right here. What I'm saying is, I thought I better control that narrative a little bit. Remember that time somebody asked Dean Martin if Frank Sinatra had friends in the mafia, and Dean Martin said, Frank doesn't even eat spaghetti. Or he said, Frank doesn't even eat spaghetti. You know Frank Sinatra is the reason your family has spaghetti night. Spaghetti and meatballs was not that common right until he popularized it. Outside of New York and New Jersey, spaghetti and meatballs was, because it's one big meatball. It's meatloaf. It's meatloaf with pasta. And he popularized that, right? That's every family, no matter where they're from. Japanese Americans, it's Tuesday night, whatever, is spaghetti night, right? That's because of Frank Sinatra. Just around midnight India time, so noonish on the 3rd, found that her phone and Apple Watch were still inside the house. That's what caused her death. On February 5th, Nancy Guthrie lived alone in the upscale Catalina Foothills neighborhood where houses are spaced far apart and set back from the street by long driveways, gates, and dense desert vegetation. The area appears to have little street lighting at night, making it less likely that security cameras captured helpful footage. See, I don't make anybody pay for stuff they could find online if they had the time and the inclination. I have the time and the inclination. Investigators say she was dropped off at home. Listen. February 5th, investigators say she was dropped off at home Saturday night by a family member. That's not a good look. She's got competition. To be fair, she has competition. And they don't play nice. They played nice in Hollywood. They didn't play nice in New York. 4 hours later, just before 2 a.m. Sunday, the doorbell camera was disconnected. "1:47 a.m. Sunday, the doorbell camera was disconnected. Guthrie did not have an active subscription, so the company was unable to recover any video. That's a bad look. That's a real bad look. That's not a crazy conspiracy theory on some YouTube channel either. That's a bad look. And they're not sugarcoating it for her. At 2:28 a.m., the app on Guthrie's pacemaker was disconnected from her phone. She was reported missing around noon Sunday when she didn't attend church. Wow. Dropped off 10 p.m., didn't show up for church noon Sunday. Wow. That's not a good look. All I'm saying is, it's not. Maybe she doesn't deserve it, but it's not a good look. I don't know. I was a little shocked. If I disappear in the night tonight and Google claims they don't have footage of it, you'll know they're lying. We went through this. But the ransom notes knew things that only someone who had been at the scene of the crime knew, including the placement of the watch. And here's the funny thing. If she took off her watch before she went to bed, the kidnapper might not have known about the watch. If she took off her watch when she got home before she went to bed, the kidnapper might not have known about it. But Savannah knew. And her husband, by extension, to coin a phrase. And her sister knew, and her brother-in-law knew. Because the look is bad and getting worse, and she needs all the help. She needs all the luck she can get. There was no ransom note left in the house. even if this was a phony kidnapping, it wasn't he didn't try to stage a kidnapping. He just tried to stage that she wandered off. She wandered off. Not a good look. So it has to become a kidnapping, which he never intended to fake in the first place. I think he went back the next night and staged that video. And it is possible. But maybe not. Either way works for me. So a couple more days go by. On February 9th, the deadline set in the ransom notes come and go. There's no word from, there's not even a follow-up message from the kidnappers. So a lot of people, there's more publicity stunt, publicity stunt, publicity stunt, publicity stunt. It's starting to, and they still haven't announced the game show yet. Hi, Lord. So to recap, on the 10th, Kash Patel, whom Savannah Guthrie and Mark Kelly and her husband and all these people have trashed, as perhaps deservedly so, trashed as being an unreliable, lying, two-faced drunk. He says, my boys got into Google and retrieved this video. Well, he didn't name Google. They didn't say anything about what kind of subscription she had or anything yet. Or didn't have yet, I don't think. That's not an important detail right now. Kash Patel. Oh, Pima County retweeted it. FBI releases new photos, videos of subject. February 10th. This video here. What does this prove again? I forgot. He's not committing any crimes. It's not against the law to walk up to somebody's front door and ring the bell. There's no video of him stealing the camera. This is it. I mean, this is at best 7 hours of community service. But the thing is, it's the shoes that give him away. Well, I went into that last night. That's members only. The still frame was taken on a separate day, a source told CNN. That's back to Savannah. And investigators now believe the suspect may have visited Guthrie's home on multiple occasions. Kind of gets to the question about whether or not this was just a random act. See, nobody was believing the kidnapping horse shit until the next day the video appeared with no timestamp and no metadata. Well, if you believe Kash Patel said the metadata said the video clip was around 1:47 a.m. right before the camera was snatched. If you believe the lying, alcoholic, untrustworthy fraud of an FBI director who exonerated the brother-in-law, then that's when the video was shot. And I'm willing to concede that. But the other lying guy who exonerated the brother-in-law, he said there was no metadata attached to that video clip or the still frame. And I believe that too. Because I believe it was downloaded before the 3 hours were up, and I think it was handed over later. In an interview with the Today Show on February 24th, Pima County Sheriff Chris Dano said the images recovered, blah, blah, blah. Any conclusions about when the photos were taken are speculative. I believe that too. You just pick whichever one you want to believe. Because according to Savannah and her husband and Senator Mark Kelly, and former astronaut and former door-to-door salesman, Mark Kelly, both of them are completely and entirely unreliable. That's why they vouched for her brother-in-law. Here's the post from Patel. Over the last 8 days, the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Department have been working closely with our private sector partners. You mean Savannah's husband's company? Their private sector. What are they called? Michael Feldman's company He invented crisis management. Michael Feldman. American communications consultant. Where did they get corporate consultant from when his own LinkedIn says he's a media consultant? Where'd they get that from? An American public relations and communications consultant and former Democratic political advisor. He's the one who cooked up the story that Bush stole the 2000 election. FGS Global. Here he is right here. Partner and co-chairman for North America. Directs communication strategy for a range of corporations, nonprofits, advocacy organizations, and individuals. All the profilers think this was personal, not financial. So is that the private sector partner you're talking about? The video was recovered from residual data located in back-end systems. You know, that covers downloading it to your local laptop. Working with our partners, as of this morning, law enforcement has uncovered these previously inaccessible new images showing an armed individual appearing to have tampered with the camera at Nancy Guthrie's front door. Uncover these previously inaccessible. If they were inaccessible, then you didn't access them on, Google's servers. But you could have accessed them if they had been downloaded within the 3-hour time limit and stored locally, and somebody removed the metadata. Somebody at a private sector partner. And remember their expertise. Remember, they trotted out their experts to try to claim that the Hunter Biden laptop, that it was a fake, a plant, a phony. It had been cooked up by the Russians in collusion with Trump. Remember, these are the people who pushed that. These are the people who pushed that, the collusion hoax itself. These are those people. Not only are they capable of doing it, they do it all the time. They butter both sides of their bread doing it. Jennifer Flowers. It was Feldman's team. Betsy Wright was speaking to reporters, and they asked her about these women, and she called them bimbo eruptions. That way she got the word bimbo in there. They've been doing this their entire careers, and they cost a lot of money. FSG Global. Did they represent Epstein? FGS Global, public relations firm. The Glover Park Group was mentioned in the Epstein files via passing footnote in a 2015 email and a 2014 lobbying list. The Glover Park Group was mentioned in the Epstein files via passing footnote in a 2015 email and a 2014 lobbying list. Well, that's not a good look. Ask Donald Trump. He flew on an airplane that was once owned by... Anna Epstein is a director in FGS Global's, but she's not related. National Press Secretary for Carly Fiorina's 2016 presidential campaign. Vice president at a boutique public affairs and PR firm in Washington, D.C. She does live in New York. SFG Media. The consulting firm Global Counsel may be placed under external administration. Clients are canceling contracts. Oh, no. That's Lord Mandelson's Global Counsel. But see, consulting firm Global Counsel may be to be tainted with that brush. There are going to be more links. But you guys wanted to hear about the Idaho 4 on the floor, so you know. We got 20 minutes. Surveillance photos and videos. Let me read it. I got the thing highlighted here. Hi, Nathan. Hi, 47. Okay, let me go back to that article. I think I forgot to clip a part of that article, not this. But that's her husband. Senior advisor to the vice president, liaison between Clinton Gore White House and the U.S. Congress, co-founder, liaison? Huh. Savannah's husband, partner, co-chairman, North American, FGS Global. That's how much is on the line here. This guy and a game show. Are you with me? It's not a good look. Doors were propped open at missing mother's Arizona home, Savannah Guthrie recounts. Yeah, they were propped open when she got there, so police could get in and out. We went all through this last night. Okay? Let me... May the 11th, they finally announced it. She's getting the game show. Chuck another one up for FGS Global. I just want to know why... Yeah, the front door was impossible to break into, so why did he take the camera off the front door if you can't break into it? Yeah, sheriff accused of botching Nancy Guthrie case dodges meeting about claims he committed perjury. And he can split hairs on that. So, well, you know, he exonerated the brother-in-law, so, you know, this Nancy's son-in-law, so that takes care of that, right? Okay, let me give you guys some... links to some videos you could easily find yourself on YouTube. You or your private sector partners. 20 or 30 shots at the White House? Look, it's a distraction. They're just coming up with the motive for this entire hoax is to keep me busy. I was getting too close to the truth. News. Possible gunfire heard near White House. Gunfire reported near White House. Extended volley of gunshots heard near White House. The clay pigeon of Pennsylvania Avenue. This is not because I went live. How long have I been live? I've been live for 60 minutes. No, less than 60 minutes. 50 minutes, and this happened 50 minutes ago? Pay no attention to the gunman behind the curtain. Anybody know anything about this family? This family? They're known for being very private. That would make a lot of sense. Doesn't mean there's anything creepy about it. It would make a lot of sense that they would be private. Does anybody know anything about them? Especially the sister. Have you noticed she disappeared? I don't blame her either. Now listen. Shooting near the White House. White House on lockdown. Secret Service reportedly takes down shooter. That's another no-win job. Dead men tell no tales, right? On the other hand, they let him go, or, they let him live. Trump says the war nearing an end, his breakthrough takes shape. So somebody took a shot. Which is the cause and which is the effect? It's not always easy. Okay, well, we'll have to catch up on that later because I got a chicken in the oven. You know who can take care of himself, obviously. Are any of these attempts real? A lot of guys getting shot over them. There's a lot of casualties. How many of them are hoaxes? I'm just waiting for Savannah or Hoda or somebody to start suggesting that these are fake. The Atlantic has mentioned that people have said that these are fake assassination attempts, but they haven't said that they believe it. I'm waiting for them to get on the conspiracy theory bandwagon. It's the perfect crime. But in every one of these cases, they had a good suspect, and something happened, had let the suspect go, and then it becomes uncrackable for 50, 60, 70 years till the professor comes along and cracks it. But there was something I was going to point out here. In the same article, I think I got it, right? They don't think it was for money. They don't think it was a home invasion. And well, what the hell did they think it was? You don't need a kidnapper to explain the physical evidence. Let me show you people. Okay, here's what I need to do. Here's what I actually need to do. Need to do two things. All right, I got 10 to 12 minutes. There's some really good videos you guys need to see. I can edit the description, right? Can I edit the description or not? Can I edit the description while it's streaming? Yes. I'm going to change the title too. Watch these. Watch these crisis managers. Managers manage the Nancy Guthrie crisis. The Savannah Guthrie popularity crisis. I got to be a little more careful with this stuff because we're getting some new Lucky Devils and even boosters. Yes, watch Lee. Who is Lee Harvey Oswald? You must watch that one. But there's new ones. I will add new ones to the list, okay? Adobe. Now. The Rise and Fall of Terrorgram. No, you don't need to watch that one. You can if you want to. How Britain Started the Arab-Israeli Conflict. You got to watch this. You have to watch this. It isn't just the Middle East either, okay? I don't want to get a copyright thing. It's not just the Middle East. It's Europe. They did the same thing to Europe after World War I. This documentary focuses on the Middle East after World War I. You got to watch this. This is well done. And they just throw it right out there. This is what really happened. And they did this all over the world. And they sat there and played the victim in World War II. Those sons of bitches. Yeah, this one. How Britain Started the Arab-Israeli Conflict. This is really good. Yeah, you need to watch this. There's that one. I'm going to watch this one. The Auctioneers, How Jewish Property Was Sold Off Under Nazism. If it's good, I'll let you know. Here's a good one on the Stasi. You forgot all about the Stasi. They were like this tumor that just took over East Germany. Like half the country worked for the Stasi by the time it was over. Have you ever met an East German? Oh my God. You know, I can't help it. They were raised that way. I remember 40 some odd years ago upon the stair, I met a man who wasn't there. And he told me if they're tall and blonde and have perfect teeth and perfect English, they're West German. If they're short and hairy and carved out of lard and speak English almost as poorly as an American, they're East German. The Stasi and das Berlin Wall. This is good. It's good. It's very detailed. Oh, God. Okay, let me do this. Okay, watch. There's a couple of good documentaries out lately on the Stasi, if you're into that kind of thing. There's a good one. Oh, I'll make sure I... Okay, there's a good one about Stalin and the doctor's plot. About how Stalin turns the Soviet Union. Right after World War II, the Soviet Union was the best friend Israel had. And then all of a sudden, the doctor's plot comes up, and now the Soviet Union is officially anti-Semitic. It's a very good documentary. They found actual archives of what actually happened between Stalin and the doctor's plot. And then what they do after it. That's a real... Yeah, I got to make sure I find that one. On the Stasi. That's this one. Documentary. There's some good movies, too. On Stalin and the doctor's plot. Yeah, you know what? That's just confusing me doing that. Let me try this. This one on Paris 1919, I think this is the one. This, you know nothing. There are two. Yeah, this is Paris, the Paris Peace Conference. Go ahead and watch this one. There's a really good one. Then there's a really good one about the end of the war. You know that skinny old English history professor who got the kind of the dry wit? He did a really good one on the last year of the last couple months of the war and what happened in a few months after. He did a really good one. Those guys, that guy's documentaries are great. You know what? I think I'm gonna get off of here. Give me a couple of minutes. Watch this documentary. Damn it. I like things to be consistent. Cancel. Watch this documentary on the 1919 Paris Peace Conference. I'm pretty sure this is the one. It's really good. Henri Lafont, the Godfather of the Gestapo. Watch this one. Watch Framing the Freedmans. Watch it's a good documentary. Watch it. But that's not the final word. We will have to talk about this real soon. This is the original documentary, I think. I think this is the original documentary. Capturing the Freedmans. Capturing the Freedmans. Because it's going to matter. It's going to come back to the Clintons. For members only. If it's not technically capturing the Freedmans, watch it anyway. I got to find that one on Stalin and the Doctor's Plot. And then I got to get off here. Man on a String. Watch Man on a String. With I'm gonna talk about this so much, and I have talked about it so much, about how people get blackmailed into being spies. This is a very, very realistic movie with Ernest Borgnine, and he plays a Hungarian Jewish composer in Hollywood, very successful, and he is caught between both sides. And it's surprisingly good for how realistic it is. It's not over, melodramatic. It's really good. I'm just going to call it Watch Man on a String. You've got to watch this movie. It's very realistic. If you've never seen the Spy Who Came In from the Cold, you need to watch it. It's very real. The very first scene where he's at Checkpoint Charlie, that's ludicrously unrealistic. But it's important to his character that you see that scene. After that, it gets very, very realistic. spoiler alert, the closest thing to a good guy is the Jewish communist spy master. But Richard Burton naturally gets you enough sympathy that you will watch the movie. But it shows why he drinks. John Le Carre said that in real life, those guys were even more burned out. He said Richard Burton brings a little bit too much likability and warmth to the part. You feel a little bit sorry for him. But he said, though he in the movie, The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, the character of Paulson, who is taking him to meat control, and he says, Paulson, what section are you in? And he says, personnel. It's fascinating. You get to learn everybody's fate. That was the job, I think, to a great extent, that John Le Carre did. And he was posted under diplomatic cover to... He had a cushy... Was it Holland? Where was he posted to? But he got all of his stories from old spies who told him the stories. And he said he'd met so many of those guys from World War II, were so burned out after the war. And what are they going to do after the war? They just keep going. And they were just so burned out. Okay, I will add that link to, I'm just going to go ahead and save this, and I will add the link to the one about Stalin and the Doctor's Plot, because it's really good, okay? So thank you guys very, very much. Thank all of you so very, very much. Have a great night. Have a good holiday tomorrow. I will do an episode tomorrow evening. Have a great holiday. Enjoy the Indy 500, if that is your thing. If it's not your thing, enjoy it anyway. Oh. Better bet your bippies he reads everything. Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow. This is what's known as having egg on your face. There we go. See you guys.